So, hello everyone. I hope you are doing good. And my name is Anubhav, and you're watching Blog IT Explore. And today we will be going to discuss about domain controller. Okay, this will be a kind of simple, very simple session. Okay, so it will not be a tough one, but I will explain what is domain controller, and then we'll do some practical, because I know I'm aware of that many of new students, or maybe new people who recently join in IT and don't have much experience. They are maybe not aware about what is domain controller, but it is actively used in your business areas and wherever you are giving support or IT support, right? So it is very helpful. Okay, this video would be very helpful for you guys, so stay tuned. So let me first put it into presentation mode, and 1 second. Okay, so I think I'm not able to do so, but let me do that. Play from starting. Yeah, so a domain controller DC is a server that manages security authentication requests within a computer network domain, and it authenticates store user accounts information and enforce security policies to your domain. So that means there is a centralized computer where you install this AD role, right, in simple way, okay, in layman language. So it is a computer where you install the domain controller role, okay, Active Directory role, and which is available in your network, and this computer is centralized managing your authentication of users. You can, and it is a kind of centralized store, you would say, okay, and machines which are available into your network may connect to this domain controller, and users who are created into your Active Directory can directly get authentication and log in into machine which is joined to that domain. Okay, so key features, right guys, key features are very important, and I think you may be aware of these features, right, because you may be logging into your organization, right, with your ID somewhere like domain slash something, right, in your machine, and somewhere your password is also expired in maybe 45 days or 90 days, right, as per the policy. So basically, wherever your machines are running onto domain, right, or joined with the domain, then you can apply the policies onto the machines which are joined to that domain. Okay, so it is a kind of you can say database, right, where it is managing inside this Active Directory server, right. There is a database, right, basically, which stores every information for users, right. And if you create any user into Active Directory, and if your machine, if your network machine is available onto the network and joined to the same domain, you can log in with that user. Okay, you can reset the password from domain controller, right. So you don't need to go locally, right. The benefit is that earlier, when domain controller was not there, let's suppose you have 100 computers, you need to have local accounts into computers. But now, when Active Directory introduced by Microsoft, it is no more needed that you go to every computer and set the local password or create the users manually. You just need to create your users into your Active Directory Active Directory server, and you just need to connect those 100 computers to your Active Directory. So from a single centralized place, you can actually managing your all users. So you don't need to go here and there. You just sitting on your desk, and you will be managing and managing your all computer. Okay, so key function is commonly authentication, right. So when you put your username, password, right, you put so validate user credential to grant access the network, right, and then there is an authorization happen in the backend, right. So determines this user permission on the network resource. Let's suppose you log in onto your machine, but your user is not part of let's suppose admin group. Then you may not be able to do some task which actually admin can do, right. So that is authorization, right. And then centralized management, as I told you, that you don't need to go anywhere, but you can centrally manage your computers, users, policies, right. You can manage so many things. And directory service, so it is a kind of database, right. So if we will come to that point, that what is Active Directory, tree, forest, right, like that. But you can assume that Active Directory is a kind of database which store everything which you create on the Active Directory side of it. And even if you have two Active Directory servers, then they will be sharing that same database. Okay, so that will be syncing from one to another one to this one, right, like that. Okay, so moving on to another slide which says domain controller type. Okay, so I have seen so earlier, when global catalog was not there, right, so there were PDC, BDC, right. So but now we call it domain controller, because every domain controller is having that capability that if one domain controller goes down, then second one take that place. Okay, so don't think that PDC VDC thing, right, this is older thing, but I have just mentioned it just for your reference. Okay, so this PDC is a primary domain controller, and this BDC is a backup domain controller. Okay, so by the name you can assume that this is for backup of your PDC. Okay, but and read only funda, I have seen it. So when you create a domain, let's suppose, so the benefit is, okay, I'm explaining in detail. So let's suppose you have a domain controller which is running on your on-prem, and now you are now you're doing some setup on AWS, and you have connectivity with your on-prem. So if you have that connectivity with on-prem, now you don't want to you don't want to give permission onto that domain controller to any AWS guys, or you don't want to go into full management. You don't want to go in full management on AWS. So what you will do, you still have connectivity with on-prem to AWS. Then you can create your domain controller RODC on AWS side, and still that RODC can sync your username and password to the AWS, and AWS users can still log in without having any latency into their login and password. It will also help in resetting the password, right? So, and it will sync your passwords, right? So your AWS will be pointing out to your local AWS domain controller, read-only domain controller, which is actually connected with your on-prem domain controller, and it is in sync. But RODC means it is read-only. You cannot modify anything into it. Okay, so now this is main chapter, and I believe so that this will be very interesting for you guys, because domain controller everyone have seen in their organization, like Apex / IBM / like that. Okay, so what is domain forest? So first, before going to domain forest, we need to understand what is domain. So domain is, let's suppose this, right, hotel.com. So where hotel.com is your domain, right? PMC is your domain. But if you connect these two domain into single and using a trust relationship, then it will become the domain forest. Under in every domain, you will see that the hierarchical name will remain same. Like, so since this is these two servers, these two domain controllers are coming from this hierarchy. So the last digit you see hotel.com, right? So this will be additional domain controller which are created under into this domain tree. So you will call these as a tree. You can see in this example also, right? And under in this domain forest, you have domains, and under in domains you have organization units. So we will be going into practical session, and we will see what are organization units. Okay, so we have right, so I have noted down few information which are available on internet, right? So you can go through this. Okay, this is very important, that you should be aware of the components which are very commonly used in while working on Active Directory. So let's suppose organization unit, so that is OU, which we were telling right earlier. You can create different OUs, right, for computers, for user, for printer, yeah, right? And similar to forest, right, we have already discussed about the forest. So forest is a grouping one or more separated independent trees, right? So if I go into previous selection, so you see these two domain controllers are different domains, right? Hotel.com and PMS.com, right? But those are connected with a trust relationship, right? Maybe one side or two side, right? Trust relationship. Then this become a domain forest. I hope this is interesting one for you. Okay, but in practical session you will see that what is actually happening, right, when we'll create a domain controller, right? Okay, so let me go back to my machine. Okay, we have a machine which will work as a domain controller. So let me start that machine by going into this VMware console. So let me pause this. Okay, let me pause this or shut down this. Okay, so when you install the VMware tools and you click here shutdown and any option, right, it will be actual option what you are doing at your physical machine, right? So it will be similar to that you log in into OS and doing a shutdown command or clicking on shutdown. Okay, so this is my DC which I have created on VMware. So I clicked on power on, and now it will power on. Okay, and just wait for 2-3 seconds, and I hope this will come up. And then we will try to connect this domain controller from our PC, from our MacBook. And I mean, it is normal one, right? In MacBook you have this option, Windows app, and in your Windows you already know, right? MSTSC you can use in run prompt, and you will be able to take control. Okay, so let me try if I will be able to take the control from connection center. So I can click on this. If IP is not changed, maybe I will be able to take control. If IP get changed, then I might not be able to take control. Okay, so let me go back to this again, and yeah, it is still starting, so it may take some time. Okay, so wait for few minutes, right? Okay, I think it is coming up. I think I can try again. Now it is up, so I think I should try it again. Yeah, it is asking for the username and password, so I am putting administrator username. Okay, so it is similar that we did earlier in the past activity. Okay, so click on this and you will be able to take control of this. So before even creating the domain, you should be thinking what would be your domain name, okay, and what will be your PC name. So be specific for that. Okay, that will really helpful. And I would say that you should keep a copy pencil in nearby you, so that you can at least draw, remember those names and create a hierarchy and do that practice in your home lab. Okay, so this machine is now came up. This is Windows 2012 22. We'll go into options. Okay, this may take some time because server manager may be loading somewhere in backend. Okay, it will be showing you on this screen maybe after some time. Okay, so yeah, still loading few services, and I believe so server manager will also come, because every time whenever you see, so whenever you reboot your machine, this server manager will open. Okay, and let it open, don't interrupt it, or don't interrupt this process. Okay, this will be helpful actually. So this is your machine, right? So let me minimize it and show you the first step of before you creating your domain. Okay, so domain means we are creating your hotel.com, you can assume. Okay, similar to that. So I am giving a name to this machine. Okay, so name would be DC01. Okay, which I have already given because it requires a reboot. Okay, we have seen that in previous sessions. So yeah, so you see DC01 is the name. Okay, first you give a perfect name to your domain controller to remember it, what is the name of this domain controller in actual. And then you can see from this add role and feature, I have already installed one role, which is, you can do it by command line and you can do it by this GUI also from this server manager. Click on this service, Active Directory domain service, and click on install. It doesn't ask anything or any input. It is just next up to finish. And then once you reboot your server, you will see this kind of warning or notification message. Click on it and you will see promote this domain controller to a promote this server as a domain controller. Okay, so earlier, if you remember, or you are working on domain controller in 2000 maybe 8, or on 2000, before even 2008 or 2012, you need to type DC promo, right, in the run command, and then you can make your domain controller, right? But now the process is changed by Microsoft. So these are three options, right? So these three options are correlated with the diagram actually what we have seen, right? So add a new forest. Okay, so if you click this option, then you will be creating a new forest. Okay, add a new domain controller in existing forest. Then that means this server will be part of the existing forest. Okay, and this is a domain controller. Okay, existing domain controller, this will be a part of existing domain. So right now we are actually creating the forest. Okay, because this is our first server, so it is hotel.com, similar to that. So we'll create a domain which will say avtest.local. Okay, so this is just a name which I am giving for my personal lab. Okay, and I'm keeping local because every domain name is actually containing something, like .com is US, IN is India, right? UK, there are some other domains as well, right? So we'll keep it local because we are using it for testing purpose. Click on next and let it go. Don't interrupt the process, don't cancel it, let it take time, because sometime it will also take time. Okay, this is your forest function level and this is your domain function level. Okay, so there are two function level available into your domain whenever you create. Okay, we'll talk about this later because this is not necessary now, but we'll discuss on this later upcoming videos. Okay, so you just need to give the password here. Okay, so this will be a kind of recovery password of your domain controller. So basically you have a database which is running behind your behind or inside your domain controller, right? So that is the password, right? In case if you want to restore your directory, then you can use the same password. And you see it is having global catalog by default as selected. Okay, if you want, we were discussing about read only, right? So if in case you are going on to AWS, you can uncheck this and maybe you can click on read only domain controller. Okay, but this option will come when you will be part of the domain. You will select a different option, then only this option will come. Okay, click on next and now click on next again. Now it will show you your NetBIOS name. So NetBIOS name is kind of like avtest.local, right? So avtest is your NetBIOS, I believe so. Okay, like ibm.com. So IBM is your NetBIOS name. Okay, So let it take some time, because it usually fetch your name what you have suggested, right? So you see, AB test is your NetBIOS name, as I said. Click on next, and now it will ask for a path, right? It will show a path where your database will exist. Okay, so sysvol is the folder where your policy will be existing. Okay, so let's suppose you have a domain controller and you have hundreds of machines, you are applying some policy, so those policy will be staying into this folder, okay, or relaying into this folder. This folder is shared with your multiple machines, right, which are joined to that domain, and this folder will help those machines to fetch the policy. Okay, NTDS is a kind of database, you can say. Okay, and log file will be there. Okay, click on next, and now you see overall what you have selected while creating this. If you want to click on view save script, you can save it, it will be in notepad. Okay, click on next, and now it will show you some kind of summary and some green color, some coloring part, and then you can click on next. Remember this part that right, so as per my best practice, I used to give static IP to my domain controller. Okay, but it is not necessary that you will give static IP or domain controller. It is my best practice that I am doing, but if you want, you can also do that, right? So you can see all prerequisites are checked and passed successfully. So that means we are good to create the domain controller. Okay, so click on this, and it will take some time. Earlier, if you created the domain in 2008 or maybe 2000 server, then it will write some kind of book with a pen, right? There will be icon going on like that. Okay, so now it will take some time. So I can keep that video in the pause mode, maybe just to save your time, or if you want, you can stay tuned. That is fine. Okay, and I hope you guys are now getting interesting to create your own machines into your home lab, right? So yeah, just wait for some time, right? It is waiting for DNS installation to finish. Okay, wait for some time. So it is creating your domain user by default users, right, into your directory. Yeah, so now it will again restart automatically, but if you want to do it manually, you can do it. Click on close. Okay, click close this. Okay, if you don't select any option, right, it will be automatically shut down or reboot in few some. See, I did not click anywhere and it rebooted automatically. So now it will take some time, and once it will come back, right, see, I'm on VMware side now. Okay, so you can see this machine is rebooting now. Okay, let it come back, and once it will come back, we'll go through that. Go through that domain controller. Okay, so basically so I hope you get all the points what we have discussed, right, about this. So we discussed about this one, right? So we created this part, right, and this is part of our forest, right? So this is our first domain controller and will be treated as a first forest name. Okay, so in case if let's suppose I have another domain, right, maybe I have like it is hotel.com, right, maybe I have selected avtest.local, right? It will be part of this, like similar to pms.com, right? Let's suppose I have avtest2.com, right, or .local. I can connect both the domain controllers by trust relationship. There is an option where you can connect both the domain controllers and share your resources which you are creating, or let's suppose your company's test1, right, and you have your company is merged with test2, right? Then you may be able to see, while you log in onto your machine, you will be able to see both the domains, right, because they are in the trust relationship. So users which are belongs to test.com can log into test1.com .com as well. Okay, because of trust relationship, because you are sharing those resources. Okay, so now go back to that machine. Yeah, it is applying the settings now. Let me go back to connection center and click on this machine. Yeah, now we have to give the domain name as well. So AV test, this is our domain. and sorry, administrator is my ID and my password is this one, and I click on continue. So now it is domain controller. Okay, now it is on domain. So if you log in with your local username, right, without even putting your IP, without putting your NetBIOS name in front of with the slash, you will not be able to log in. Okay, because now it is understanding domain name slash your username, which is there on the domain. Now we will create the users on this domain controller. Wherever you will log in with this inside your network, it will automatically get those machines will be automatically take authorization and authentication through this domain controller, because this will be a centralized database for them. Okay, so now wait for group policy to be finished, and then we'll go back again to that window. Okay. And parallelly we will be also completing WSUS part, which is pending. So I wanted to show you this, how you can create a domain controller, so that this WSUS chapter will be closed. Okay, because WSUS is actually required your domain controller and your policy part, right, while setting up. So this is how you create it. It is very simple, right? For everyone it is very simple, and I mean, no efforts, right? You just need to do some settings, download image, create a server, and install the roles, right, and domain role, right, and then while creating and installing that role ADDS, and then you can promote that server as a domain controller, right? So you can play in your home lab if you want, right? It is very simple and very easy to learn actually. Once you do this first step, right, you will be able to understand what are the OUs, what will be your users, how you will add printers, how you will share how will create the security groups, right? So many options are available into that. Okay, so I think this will take time, and I think we should capture this all part into second upcoming video. Okay, so stay tuned for upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe my video. Thank you.